Okay, hello ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Chupacabra's lair. It's another Lounging with Larry special. Although, I think this game has probably been done to death by now, but I don't really know. But today we're talking about walking simulators, games for the sake of art, and yeah. That's what this episode of Lounging with Larry is about, so sit back, relax, and let's go on a magical, pixelated safari. Yeah, that probably sounds like a thing sane human beings do. Running dangerously low on beverage, though. Okay, so we're here in the world of Proteus, which is at a really disgusting frame rate. Or not frame rate, field of view. And we're on the water, going towards an island. And I'm not really sure what the purpose of Proteus is. I kind of decided when we talk about games for the sake of art, or art for the sake of games, or some mix and match therein, that I would go in here kind of blind. I wouldn't read too much into it because that might jade my opinion, but I'm not entirely unfamiliar with the concept of games as art. And games as art are kind of bundled into games that are called walking simulators, or I don't know, kind of like point-and-click adventure games tend to be in that department. King's Quest, Space... what was that? Space Odyssey? Space Quest? Probably Space Quest. All sorts of stuff like that. Police Quest. There's a whole lot of games like that that I've played over the years. Real Mist, in a sense. And they offer you some gameplay, some adventure, some very basic puzzles or inventory puzzles, which always actually kind of pissed me off. And you kind of get some interaction somewhere in that mix and match universe. And that's basically what we're looking to experience. Now, I don't know that Proteus has a specific purpose. I think you kind of just experience it. You kind of just wander around and relax and just explore this weird forested biome on this island that may change as the day progresses and the sun oh, isn't that cute? It's a little, like, frog creature. And I think this is just one of those games where you kind of just putz around and relax. And just kind of take it all in. Like you're a bizarre National Geographic photographer who's not allowed to, grip and fondle the wildlife, or else you might get arrested by... where was the guy that shot Cecil the lion? Uganda or something? Nigeria? You might get arrested by one of their policemen. So can I click on anything? What about this castle-looking business? What is this? Oh. Apparently that was interactable. Oh, it teleported me to the castle thing on the other side of the island. Alright, so you can kind of walk into stuff? Well, I'm feeling very artistic, that is for sure. And while this isn't a really high-definition game, it's kind of like 8-bit artwork here, I do get a lot of sense of detail in these trees in Proteus. So what do I really need from a game? I kind of need a story to be told from a game. If you don't have any, like, tense action or tense gameplay or stuff that I have to interact with in a meaningful purpose, like a crazy puzzle or anything, I kind of need something to do or to occupy my mind in order to give the game its sort of purpose. and I'm not certain I'm getting that here. And I say that as somebody who has experienced a lot of artistic stuff in school for the sake of art. And what do I mean by that? Well, your pal Larry here, the delectable Chupacabra, he has spent a whole lot of time inside of art galleries, inside of museums, inside of artist studios, of traveling artist professionals, and I've seen art for the sake of art that has a lot of hidden meaning, and this doesn't really hold an excessive amount of symbolism. I really just think that this is just supposed to be a relaxing set piece that you can kind of go into. You can have a nice, relaxing, adventurous music. Wait a minute, what was that? Did this thing make noise when I touched it? It did. Wait, can I interact with these things? Yeah, these are totally emitting particles. So, alright, is this game trying to lead me somewhere with these standing stones? Yeah, it totally is. So where do these stones lead? They're like emitting particles that go up into the sky. Oh, they lead to a bunch of standing stones. Alright, is there like a ritual? Am I interacting with the magic of this island now? Huh. So, let's analyze the idea of games for the sake of art, or art for the sake of art. Whoa, okay. Magic's happening. The whole idea of art is a human self-expression, right? And art for the sake of art in some way tries to talk about something involving the human experience in this game. Or not in this game, but in general. Now, some art is designed to be just pretty and to be enjoyed. Some art is designed to tell a message, to critique society. And some art just kind of talks about stuff in a very subconscious, sort of Freudian way. Like Salvador Dali and all that business. But now this island has gotten all kinds of lively. Maybe we're just experiencing the seasons here on this island. With all these bubbling flowers and all these bees and... Whoa, I'm ridiculously fast. Oh look, there's a bunch of like, what are these things? They're like little chickens, okay. And they're running from me. They fear that I would eat their flesh. Uh-oh, what is this? Is this a graveyard? Huh. So I feel like games for the sake of art work, provided you're trying to tell people something that is graspable. And as long as you're trying to either tell a narrative or to provide some sort of really fun, kitschy interaction that's just kind of bubbly and fun. Oh hey, there's like a little cabin over here. A fondle cabin that I can't seem to get inside of to murder the occupants. So there won't be any direct interaction here, nor do I have the ability to jump. Alright, I guess we just kind of putz around and look at stuff. So, this game doesn't really provide me with much to do. It's not especially thought-provoking other than to critique the fact that it exists. And that was like a leaper frog that just kind of went off on an adventure. Alright. What's going on here, critters? Can I eat you? Nope. These little sand crabs are just kind of chilling. Alright. So what did I mean, then, when I said that I think these things are great as long as they tell you some sort of message or story that is graspable? There is some artwork in the world that people claim, oh, Larry, you just don't get it. And you know, that's kind of a lame duck explanation, frankly. The burden of explanation is on the creator of the message. If you're unable to communicate with a broad audience, whatever your message is, then your message, I'm afraid, has been a failure. Now, you can talk about subtlety of meaning and deeper hidden intricacies, but the fact of the matter is, if your meaning cannot be properly conveyed, then there is no meaning. It's just a bunch of stuff on a piece of paper, like a monkey trying to write Shakespeare. That's kind of a bastardization of the whole idea that if you have 1,000 monkeys typing and tittering away, that you can eventually write Shakespeare. But I don't think it's too far off base, frankly. So, this is kinda cute, I guess. I mean, it certainly feels like it's relaxing, and if that is the goal, to provide you with just a random relaxing experience exploring a wilderness, maybe there's something to that. Because we live in an age right now where everyone's hyper-stressed, hyper-anxious, they have a lot of anxiety and concerns. There's a lot on their minds. Sometimes just a storybook environment where they can just putz around and not really worry about it would do some good. But frankly, this music kinda agitates me a little bit. It's really loud compared to other games that I've got. I haven't adjusted my volume. Like, this is just my standard playing volume, and this is pretty gosh dang loud. Oh, here's that glowing thing. Am I supposed to catch the glowing rock monsters? What's your deal, critters? Huh, they just kinda hop away. Maybe there isn't a goal. I don't know that I like that. I've seen a lot of games and I've played a lot of games that kind of feel weird, and they don't do anything for me. Like, I've played Dear Esther is a game that comes up on a lot of people's radars. And that's a game where you basically walk around and you experience the inner monologue of a man trying to come to grips with a traumatic experience in his life, the death of an important person in his life, and implying either that he's moved on when he leaps off the tower at the end, or that maybe he's committed suicide or something. I don't know. So where am I going in this particular iteration of this island? The seasons changed when I walked to that Standing Stones. Do I have to go back to the Standing Stones now? It's possible. What is that? Is that a giant owl? Yeah, that is totally a rotoscoped owl that just flew away there. Yeah, they traced an owl in flight with pixels. Look at that. It's fancy. Hi, owls. I'm gonna eat your faces. I think I'd feel more relaxed in this game if I had some nice, slow-tempoed electronic music, as opposed to like a mix between like, kinda like chimes and electronic. I do not know what's supposed to be happening here. But yeah, Dear Esther, as far as telling a story goes, it was really odd. And it kind of told it like someone depressed, thinking about all the stuff that they messed up in their life. And maybe that was the idea. Maybe that was the core of it. I see a bunch of stuff over here. What's going on over here? What is this? Oh, that's those chickens. Okay, I thought that was important. Never mind. I thought that was another version of the Standing Stones, but Dear Esther wasn't very clear. It didn't really provoke thought in me, but maybe that I'm just not the core demographic, or maybe it's just supposed to just kind of be there. Maybe it provokes thought, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it was just kind of an artsy project. Because there is such a thing as just somebody who wanted to make something kind of seemingly thought-provoking, but really isn't. I call those lazy art students. That's a really lame excuse for, like, making a project for class in art, is where you just kind of make something and you claim it's thought-provoking, but it's really just a pile of bullshit. So, this is one of those things that it's open to interpretation. These games exist, and these projects exist because somebody is creating them, and in a way, it's because somebody is paying for them to be created. So take that however you like. I know one that's kind of stupid as much as I love his animations. Film Cow. Oh, are these the dead bird things from before? Oh, they're totally dead and dying on the ground like really janky grasshoppers. But the guy Film Cow, who made Charlie the Unicorn, and other such amusing and bizarre animations like Walrus Song and the Mushroom Face People, he created a Mystery at the Museum app for Android that all it was the elephant from one of his other information getting banged on the head. It's like 50 megabytes, and it's so short, it was honestly a waste of time for me to download it. It was kinda dumb. And he just kinda made that into an app for some reason. Alright, I guess we're going to see how autumn looks in this world. Still a weird, creepy graveyard. And there's like a weird flying dragon, a water dragon over there. But yeah, that was an example from Film Cow of kind of like a bad, just not something you should have bothered to put out. It didn't really add narrative. It was just a small clip that the guy made from his existing animation that you controlled by tapping it, by just making the character walk across the screen and get wanged on the head by a falling chandelier. Kinda dumb. But these games do exist because someone's paying for them. I got this particular game as a part of a Humble Bundle and really didn't think about it a very long time ago. But someone's paying for these to exist, so clearly there's somebody who enjoys this. So let's put the shoe on the other foot. I've been kinda skeptical so far, but let's just take this at face value. This is an adventure. This is a colorful world that we exist in, with standing stones that make noise when you twang on them. Actually, yeah, they do make noise. Or that one made noise. But let's just make our own little story out of this. So there's some old graves down here, and clearly some people once came to this island for some conceivable reason. Let's call them the Creoa. The Creoa. That's something, Creoa. And so, something that's not entirely unusual in island cultures is that when you live on a series of islands, you can often find that cultures will go to one of the islands that they have designated spiritual or godlike or contains the essence of their gods on it, and they create these standing relics, and they use it for old rituals. And much like the people of Easter Island, although there are still people there, the core culture that created those giant stone monoliths, the moai, the giant stone heads and sometimes heads with bodies, something happened to these people. Maybe it was war, maybe it was a plague, maybe it was something else, and they're gone now. And this is the remnants of, like, their ritual center, a graveyard where future Spanish explorers would one day find the relics, and they themselves would succumb to a disease that killed the same people that used to live here. And we are a disembodied spirit that kind of roams the world, and we have been drawn here for some conceivable reason to kind of be a silent ancient witness to what has transpired, like some kind of like story of the world, like Gaia. That we kind of just document the stories of the world and the people and the creatures and the different species that once lived here. And here we see at the top of this mountain the ancient watchers that join us in silent witness to this place. These former messengers of the gods that these people once worshipped. They've come here to bear final witness before this place is forgotten forever, never to be experienced again. And the Krui, or whatever I named the people that lived here, they used to come across this land, this ritualistic island, to try and quell the spirits of war. Because one thing that, and I took some anthropology in college, so I do know some about this. There are some cultures on islands that have long died out, or have nearly died out, and then there's just not enough people to continue it the way that they used to. And it wasn't unusual for social standing to be gained by killing people of the enemy tribe. But then those deaths required an endless cycle of vengeance, 2 for 1, 3 for 1, 5 for 1, depending on the social status of the person who was killed. And there are records of cultures that died out because they wouldn't stop killing each other. So the Krui, they came to this place, this sacred place. They came with their enemies. This was a place where they would try to sneak in to speak with the gods without their enemies knowing. And the Krui came here to try and sue for peace. And that is why the Standing Stones and the Ancient Watchers were created originally. And they would come here and they would hold their ceremony, and the ancient mental power, the psychic power of this place, built up over generations, would allow them to reach some sort of understanding during a great ceremony, that they'd have a really strong acid trip because they would eat some of these plants. But it wouldn't be long, after years of strife and weakening of the gene pool and some inbreeding because of such low populations, that the people of this land would eventually begin to grow sick of wasting diseases, and they would be no more. So that's an example of like a self-made story that you could kind of just create for yourself. And there could be something to self-narrative. There is a notion in gameplay design of emergent storytelling where, rather than really specifically tell the player or to show the player, they kind of leave hints in the landscape that sort of relate to similar real-world stories or older fairy tales, because a lot of the fairy tales that you and I are familiar with, you guys and gals at home, are really old. Like The Little Mermaid's an old tale about love and loss and betrayal, and like the original Little Mermaid at the end of the story loses the prince and then, in her despair, casts herself out into the ocean and becomes sea foam and dies. There's a lot of old stories like that that you can draw parallels to through very simple, subtle storytelling items, you know, like things like Romeo and Juliet, forbidden love, and all that stuff. Those are really old, primal stories that exist in the human psyche as just like a species. Every culture sort of has some similar stuff, and it's very unique in and of that style and that type of thing. So emergent storytelling could be the goal of Proteus. I don't know. I might look it up before this video's over, and I can juxtapose my ramblings and my arguments sort of against random artsy games being too prevalent, and we can decide. Now, I think this game can be fun. Like, I'm kind of enjoying this, like just wandering around and talking to you guys, but that's a little different. I'm playing this as a YouTuber. I'm experiencing this and trying to juxtapose and discuss it with you guys on a Friday series, lounging with Larry, talking about artsy-fartsy games. And I think that's okay. Like, we're experiencing the seasons. It's winter right now. It was just autumn. Yeah, it's not bad. We're over on the other end of the island now. Is this one of those teleport towers? This is like Old Castle. Is it? I can't tell. It certainly won't let us interact with it. Oh, there it goes. Now we're back on the other side? Frankly, I'm a little lost because I can't really see where I'm going with all of this game fog. Yeah, I guess we are on the other side of the environment. Here's that... No, this isn't a pond. Okay, I'm lost now, whatever. That's fine. We're just relaxing and chatting about stuff. So if this game isn't telling a story, it might be relaxing, and it's not really providing me with awe-inspiring puzzles or first-person shooter action. Maybe it's just kind of like an experience. Nah, I don't go in for that. The notion of it just saying an experience without experiencing something that denotes an alien culture or something, I tend to find that saying those words can be a bit of a cop-out. Because everything's an experience. Me scratching my nose is an experience. Crafting an experience isn't always a thing. Am I flying now? Is this the end of this game? Have I experienced Proteus now? Are you feeling the art at home, kids? So as an artist, as a graphic designer, as a creator on YouTube, I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt and say they're trying to craft a mystical, almost magical world that just kind of exists. There's not a lot to it. It's just kind of empty, devoid of human life, or maybe the dregs of past human life, and time has gone on without humanity. And that's fine. If they're trying to imply something subtle for you to relax and just not really think about your life and your day, then this was a success. This was. But that's one of those things with art. It's always open to interpretation, and this is an argument that has gone on since the dawn of time when it comes to art. You know? What is art? What is the name of an artist? I mean, there's an art piece, and you can look it up. It's a French artist who, he's a big-time artist, and he submitted to a big-time art gallery who were doing open submissions a graffitied-on urinal. It was just a urinal. It was kind of dingy and dirty. He just went out to a garage and bought it. And they denied him. They told him, you can't put this urinal in our art gallery. So he submitted it the first time without his name on it, and then he took it to an open... I forget what they call those open art galleries where just a bunch of people would put their art in the gallery. But he put it in there under his real name, and everyone just flipped out. Oh my gosh, we're so sorry. We didn't realize it was such a brilliant artist. And it was just a urinal. It wasn't really art. It was sort of a critique on what it means to be an artist and have a big, fancy, spooky name. Okay, so we floated back here, and now we're up at the top of the mountain again. And we've been brought back to our ceremonial circle with the Watchers. Huh. Am I just floating up from here? Are you abandoning me, my ancient brethren? Are we ascending to another plane of consciousness? Who knows? I think we're just leaving this spry and mysterious land. I didn't actually think this game had an ending. I thought you just kind of wandered around until you got sick of it. Huh. Are we going to the moon? Oh, there's like a belt of stars around the moon. Alright, that's kind of neat, I suppose. So this is one of those open questions. What do you guys at home feel is art? What do you feel about games like this? This is one of those open discussion forum things. I think this is a game designed to be relaxing. I think it has a goal. I think it does. And before we end out here, I'm actually going to go look that up. So all the landscape is gone, and we're closing our eyes. I think we've finished Proteus. I think that's it. So we're just some celestial entity that experienced a world. So this is done by Ed Key and David Kaniga. Alright. Well then, why don't we see what the deal is here with Proteus? Alright, so Proteus the game. Let's go to the Steam page, because that's where I'm playing this game, is off of Steam. And it says, Proteus is a game about exploration and immersion in a dreamlike island world where the soundtrack to your play is created by your surroundings. Played in first person, the primary means of interaction is simply your presence in a world and how you observe it. So yeah, this is just kind of one of those emergent gameplay sort of games. It appears to have gotten some pretty positive reviews from a lot of people, and I found it kind of relaxing. I could have done with some less sharp music, but it's not bad. And it's kind of an artsy game. It's listed as a relaxing indie exploration walking simulator in the user-defined tags. So, yeah. And its Metacritic rating is 80 out of 100. I don't know that I would give it that. It wasn't a bad game, and I thought it was good for what it is, but it lacks a lot of meaningful interaction that I found particularly interesting, and it's listed similar to games like Real Mist, which I've played. That's just a mind bender right there. It's like a weird kind of steampunk, kind of magic kind of game trying to stop some weird kids from messing with their father and yourself. I don't know. It's kind of weird. I think it's a relaxation game. It's meant to relax you and immerse you in a weird world that's kind of just goofy and fun, and it's just kind of relaxing in there. It's pixelized and very unassuming and doesn't require anything of the player than to just wander around. That said, I think there are games that didn't really do a particularly good job. I think Dear Esther is a good example of one that it was okay. It certainly told a story, but it was really weird and kind of jagged for the way that it told the story. So I guess you just kind of gotta like that sort of thing, and that kind of explanation is a bit of a cop-out, but that's all I've got. So this concludes this week's Lounging with Larry. I hope you guys and gals have enjoyed this. I certainly enjoyed playing Proteus, although it didn't want to record right. It wanted to only display on my recording screen and not on the primary monitor where I play. But hey, there's windowed mode for a reason, right? So, if you guys have any suggestions for topics we could discuss or things we could explore for next week, let me know. And until next time, I've been your host, Larry. Thanks for joining me for another relaxing evening, and I'll catch you next time. I hope you have a good morning, evening, afternoon, or pan-dimensional adventure. I don't know. You could be like a trans-dimensional love child or something. I don't know. But yeah, hope you enjoyed, and toodles.